Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today, we're joined by Dave Colonna, the creator, the host of American Treasure Podcast. While Dave may be a newer face in the treasure hunting world, he is no stranger to storytelling. He spent years producing and hosting a wide range of podcasts, from When Are We?, a show about time travel movies, to My Life in Stereo, where Dave captured the sounds of his travels around the world, and even Dave Giggles, a free-form talk show on Radio Free Brooklyn. I'll leave links to those in the description below. I encourage you to watch them. With American Treasure Podcasts, Dave has brought his passion for podcasting into the treasure hunting community. One of his main features has been There's Treasure Inside by the one and only Jon Collins-Black, where Dave shares conversations with Jon to better understand the mind behind the hunt. His approach is unique. Although he is friends with Jon, he asks him questions like a journalist, curious about how creators think, what they reveal in their stories, and how those insights might help others unlock multi-million-dollar treasure boxes hidden across the country. And Dave's career extends far beyond podcasting. As a highly respected colorist and online editor, his work spans award-winning films, documentaries, and television. He's contributed to HBO's I Am Evidence, First Cousins Once Removed, and 6 Days to Air, The Making of South Park. Amazon Makers, Once and For All, The Powerful Rebuilding of the World Trade Center, and cult favorites like Monumentary, The Story of Wax Trax Records. On the television side, his credits include TLC's 90 Day Fiancé, HBO's Painting with Jon, Nat Geo's American Inside Out with Katie Couric, HBO's Vice, and countless Food Network staples like Worst Cooks, In America, and Chopped. The American Treasure Podcast itself is already gaining momentum, earning a nomination at the 2025 NYC WebFest, New York City's first festival celebrating web series and digital creators. On today's show, I'll be asking Dave about how the podcast has been received, what his conversations with JCB have revealed, when we can expect new episodes, how the hunt itself has influenced him personally and professionally, and much more. So now, sit back and enjoy my interview with Dave Colonna.
Very interested in knowing your take on why a lot of people are switching to Posies over John's.
That's a good question, Dave, and thanks for coming on. Yeah, it's, I bought the book early on, and actually I bought it before my trip, and I was going to read it on the plane because it was like a 9-hour flight, and I never got to it. Right. So, so when I got back, I was sort of debating whether or not we should start working on it. And then I saw everybody, jump to Justin Posey's. I don't know, maybe it's just the, new toy syndrome,
Sure,
new shiny thing. Maybe they thought it was more approachable. It's focused in one location, and it's pretty defined area, I guess, American West.
Right.
Whereas, John's hunt is pretty much well spread out, over a pretty big area, and with the exception of one or two, well, two of them, we only know a general idea where it could be at.
Right. And even then, who knows? Like, John doesn't give too much, Do you think there's any like aspect to it that Justin is more engaged than Jon, that maybe it's leans more towards Justin's?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I thought about that early on, and I was gonna sort of talk to you about that. I know at first.
I'm messing up your entire interview.
No, that's okay. No, that's okay. Hey,
I'm used to being the interviewer. So like, listen, you do everything and I'll be here for it.
It's a privilege. I'm telling you. That's a good question because, at first, both Justin and Jon said they're going to be pretty hands off. Right.
Yeah.
And, Jon's pretty much stuck to that with the occasional interviews. And, if you have any insider help, I would love to have him and you on at the same time.
I'll tell you, it's already tough getting him on with me.
I can imagine. I had to throw it out there.
Sure. I've been trying real hard to get him and Justin together. That's been a ongoing conversation, and he is a big kick the can down the road type guy. He's like, I'm thinking about a couple weeks, I'll let you know. And a couple weeks comes.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'm thinking about it. Give me a couple weeks.
Well, I originally pitched that idea to Jon's publicist, and I reached out to both Jon and Justin. Justin never responded, but Jon's publicist responded one night.
Oh, cool!
And I'm like, whoa, this is great.
Yeah, that's great.
She had said that no, he's taking we're giving him time off, and this is a while back.
Yeah.
And I said, it's understandable, right?
Yeah. And he was dealing with those fires out in LA, and he was dealing with a lot. And he's got 2 kids. It's a lot out there. So
yeah. So
I mean, the fact that they responded, that's pretty good. I feel like they don't respond to everybody. So
yeah, well, that's good. But back to your question, why is it because Justin's more involved? That possibly, I know you've been on Discord and probably other social media accounts and sort of checking the temperature of how everything's going, and it seems when you have more involvement, it brings more attention, sort of like your show, right? Sure. I mean, I started listening to your show a while ago, and I listened to it over and over, not because I thought there was some hidden clue or anything in there, but just hearing the voice and hear him talk over different ideas is really compelling, and it draws people into it. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have Jon on as well is, I know he's a smart guy. He's not going to give away anything, right?
Trust me, I've been trying.
You're eating up all my questions here, Dave.
I'm sorry. Again,
no, it's okay.
You do you.
No, that's fine.
That's the problem of talking to an interviewer is that they're going to blow up your spot a lot.
No, this is free form. This is not scripted. This is free form, right? We'll take it where it goes. Yeah. So when you have people engaged like that, it sort of helps. And I'm thinking that's the reason why, because for a while there before Golden Greed came out, right, it was all Jon, right, all TTI, and I was surprised I got as many views and subscribers as I did, with all those different shows going on. Right. It's like, I actually was going to name my show Not Another Treasure Hunt video.
That's a pretty good one. That's pretty good.
So, but I was like, the heck with it, because I thought about this back when I first heard about the hunt, because I always wanted to do something like this. I've always been involved, always, like playing around with audio video stuff, and
very cool. Always wanted to good. You got a good set going. I like your whole setup. Mine is very, very basic. I'm in a box. Here I am.
Hey, it works though, and you sound good too. So
yeah, thank you. I try.
So yeah, that's why I think. What are your thoughts on it?
I do think there's some level of Justin being more active, on Instagrams and stuff like that, and all the things, which is something I talked to Jon about a lot. Like just being like, I think people want not more out of you; they just want you present, and they want because They got the book, and Jon says it over and over again. Everything you need is in the book. You don't need me anymore. He tells me that all the time. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that. But there is a level of like people want to just hear your voice and see what you're up to. And like, it just brings a level of like respectability to the whole thing, and knowing that you're still there and you're still around and you're doing the things. And one thing I see from Justin do a lot is he'll repost a lot of people's stuff.
Yeah, I like that.
I think that really gets people excited because they're like, oh my, he posted something that I put up. This is great. Maybe I'm on the right track. And Jon, doesn't do that. And to his credit, like, he's a busy man. I'm not gonna say one is better than the other or anything like that. But it definitely fuels the fire when you start doing stuff like that. So, and then, I do the show, and I really love doing the show. And I get a lot of criticisms for not putting out more episodes. And like, I wish I could. There's only so much time in the day, so to speak.
Is that what's keeping you from putting? Last one you did was July 1st, and I've been holding on every morning. I check to see if it bumped up or not.
Yeah, I'm working on 2 actually. I'm working on 2. We'll see when I get them out. One of them has been, I will give you this. This is the first time I've said this. One of them is kind of like a white whale. It's kind of like one that I wanted to put out way earlier, and just kind of like couldn't really like nail down all the aspects of it, and like it was kind of like too big of an idea to kind of like to do on a whim. So I'm like kind of building up a lot of stuff to try to put it out. So that's kind of the reason for that one being a little bit more delayed. And then I also like, as far as the show goes, I do like doing the interviews with Jon, and I don't mind just putting them out, but I do want them to be a little bit more than just an interview with Jon. Like, if you listen to my shows, they're a little bit more like storytelling and kind of like using other things to kind of juxtapose with Jon's. And it's kind of a little bit more editing, a little bit more like doing interviews outside of just Jon to kind of like, and then trying to figure out what other interviews will go with the story that I'm trying to tell of Jon's right now. So it's like,
it's like I'm listening to Ira Glass in This American Life.
Right. And that's kind of the goal. Like, the goal isn't to be just like, oh, I'm interviewing Jon. The goal is to be like, this is a story about treasure hunting, and this is a story about one man's journey, but a whole community's quest. You know what I mean?
That's what I like about it. That's what I like about your podcast, because I enjoy listening to things like that. I used to listen to AM radio and stuff when I was younger, and loved the stories and stuff that you're able to get on that.
Cool. And then for future episodes, I'm trying to incorporate a lot of different things, but one thing I really want to get into now that we're like knee deep in the hunt, right? Like, a lot of the stuff that I did earlier was a lot of like stuff I interviewed with Jon very early on. And then, the early in the hunt, now that we're into it a little bit, I kind of want to juxtapose Jon's interviews with stories of people looking for it. So a lot of like solves, a lot of ideas of like what you're bringing, the hunters are bringing to the table also along with Jon. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to get across in the next couple of episodes, and we'll see if I can do it.
Yeah, well, I'll keep my ears peeled for it and eyes open for it.
I really appreciate everyone's patience. That's the one thing. Like, I'm really every day I'm like, I should do more on this thing, and some days I do, and then some days I'm like, not today.
Well, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to put something together, unless you just slap a camera on and hit record, or in your case, turn your mic on and record and throw it out there.
Right.
I spent hours on my stuff. It doesn't look like it, but
I know it takes a lot of time. It does. Then like, there's like, there'll be days where I interview a couple different people, and then I'll try to like wrap my head around like, okay, how does this puzzle piece fit into the grand scheme of things? And I try to like set up a lot of interviews that will fit to what I'm trying to express. But a lot of times it kind of goes off the rail. And a lot of times, not that that's a bad thing, but it'll go in a direction that I didn't expect it to, And so I'm like, okay, now I got to kind of like loop that into what I could talk to Jon about in the future. Because a lot of the people I talk about or talk to are like hunters. They're out there. They're doing their thing. They're really getting knee deep into it. And like I am not that deep into it. I'm more, a friend of Jon's and a consumer of what you guys are doing. So it's not like I'm like knee deep in like the solve and the dissecting of everything, which I find marvelous. And I think you guys are way better at that than I am. So that's why I'm going to leave it up to you guys.
So the people you're hearing from, are they active on on social media?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So it's not like there's
and I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, my name is this on Discord.
Sure.
If you see me, say hi." But a lot of them will give me. It's very fun to talk to people about their solves because a lot of times they'll give me their solve and then at some point they're like, "Okay, this is something no one else has." So, and as the journalist I am, I'm like, okay, if I ever use any of this, I will let you know and we can agree upon this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, these people open up to me about their full solves and like they trust me, which I really, really appreciate. And I thank everyone for doing that. But it's like, it's very interesting to hear a full solve. And then by the end of it, I'm like, I'm rooting for you. I really am.
Yeah.
For you. I really want you to find this thing because you put so much time and effort and passion into this.
Yeah.
It's really something. It's awesome. It's really cool.
So do you pass that information on to Jon at all?
Sometimes I do. I'll be, when I talk to him last, I was telling him about, the last interview I did with, a searcher and he's like, where's he searching? And I told him, I can't remember off the top of my head where he was searching, somewhere down south, Mississippi, perhaps. And I was like, oh yeah, he's in Mississippi and he's, on these trails. And I kind of just like, wait for Jon to make some kind of, he's giving me nothing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's cool.
I was going to ask you about that. What have you gotten any feedback from Jon since you started putting your podcasts out? Or
I mean, the funny thing about Jon is that he is in his own world, and I respect everything that he does, and I sent him the shows, and sometimes he gives me a response, and most of the time he's just like, "Cool, great."
Yeah.
So he just kind of like. He lets me do my own thing, and he doesn't really criticize any way or shape or form. The only criticism I think I ever got from him, and I think this will be an exclusive, is one of the episodes. I think I called him eccentric, and he didn't care for that. He didn't think he's eccentric. He did not think of himself as eccentric. I was like, you buried like. I don't know, however many millions, or not buried, but hid many millions in the wild. That's pretty eccentric.
Yeah, no doubt. So has he ever said, hey, after compiling all of your talks that you had together, has he ever said, hey, there's maybe a range of time where we talked that I really don't want you to put on there?
No, I talked to him a couple of interviews ago, and he made mention that he doesn't feel like he's ever really slipped up on my show to the point where he feels the need to talk about it. The only time that he will say don't use that is most of the time it's when we're talking about mutual friends or talking about our families or something people like that. But it's anything with him is on the table. And same with me, like I'm an open book because I know less than most people. So like anybody can ask me anything they want, and I encourage it. I love when people email me and ask me all sorts of different things. Sometimes it's questions I don't know the answers to. I will say I have had someone email me and ask me if they would buy all of the interviews from me.
Really?
that was relatively recently, and I turned him down on that because I'm not ready to even think about that yet. Maybe when we get closer, we can talk. But I'm not ready. I'm not there yet. So
Dave, there is a price for everything.
Exactly. Well, if you send me the right price, you can get all the interviews. Everyone out there.
I don't have that right price.
Exactly.
So when does he sort of encourage you at certain points to maybe put out more?
No. He's
so he's not trying to use this as a promotional thing. It was really just coming to you saying, I want to document this.
Right. I actually think that he should use me more as a promotional, but he's also 3,000 miles away from me. So it's not like we see each other a lot, but like, I do think that like we could come up with a lot of different ideas and things to talk about, but we end up just like hanging. It's funny. Cause like we only do this, we only interview every maybe month or so.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes more, sometimes less, and a lot of the times it's we talk about the treasure, but a lot of times it's like hanging out, like because we don't get to see each other. And like the last time I saw him, I think I saw him at his wedding, which was now it's like 2 years ago.
Oh wow,
yeah. So it's been a little while.
So do you still or you still sit down and do recordings with him?
Yeah, I did one. What's today? Today is Wednesday. I think I did one with him last Thursday. So
nice.
Yeah. Nice. So that one I'm working on to get up. That's going to be part of the new episode. So that's and I know a lot of people are like, where's the episode? It's coming.
So now what happens? Say hypothetically all these boxes are found next month and you're sitting on all this info. Do you still plan on
I mean, that's a good question. I don't know if that's going to be 5 are going to be found or
I don't think they're all going to be found.
They're all going to be found. But if they were all found, I mean, that would be really cool. I think what would probably happen is I would probably not throw away all the stuff that I have, but I would definitely change course and kind of then, whoever finds it, I hope that they will come on my show and talk to me about, all the stuff. And I'm sure that I could probably get Jon to come on with them and then we can have like a little powwow. So yeah, that's the hope and desire that when everything is found, we start, dissecting the aftermath kind of.
Yeah. Cause I always tell our listeners that if somebody found it and it was through the help of our channel, all I'm asking for is your first interview.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same thing whenever I talk to people about their styles. I'm like, as soon as you find it, you let me know and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. So you said earlier that Jon keeps saying it's on the book, it's all in the book and stuff. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know it's pretty I don't know, you want to say controversial, but all the information needs in the book. Does that mean that I don't have to read Ready Player One? And like he says,
good question. That is a really good question. And then it also boils down to like, do you really need to listen to anything that Jon says? And is what Jon's saying even like to throw you off the trail? Like, these are questions I don't have the answers to, but I do think like the one thing that I know about Jon is that when Jon says something, he always means what he says.
Yeah.
Like, he is like a real truth teller, if that is the right word, but he will say something and he stands behind it 110%. Like, that's the one thing I know about him, like fully. So like, if he's saying that all you need is the book, you probably can find it with the book. But then that kind of contradicts, why would you listen to my show, right? But I do think that like talking to Jon will probably give you like maybe an insight onto how his brain could work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that is like, then you kind of looking at the decipher of like how he talks and how he thinks and like how, if I ask him a question that he wasn't like prepared for or ready for, how he puts 2 and 2 together to get to an answer,
like
that it may not be any tips or tricks or anything like that, but it it might be something that could get your head around why this is written the way it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it's a good point because at first I didn't realize this, but on your end of your podcast, because I listen to it when I go to work and come back, and when I go to lunch or whatever.
I appreciate it.
And on the last 2 minutes of a couple of your podcasts, there's a dead silence, and he comes on and speaks. I'm like, I stuck around. So I don't know if that was intentional or not, because when he said he recited the Forrest Fenn poem.
Yeah.
I'm like, Easter egg, I found it. So I tried to do that on my last episode. My wife and I do a weekly show on part one.
Oh, cool.
Which is wonderful, because in the beginning she didn't even have any interest in it. She supported me and stuff, but didn't have much interest until we went boots on the ground, and we went in North Carolina.
Awesome.
And took our dog and stuff. And it was like, it had to be one of my best trips ever. I won't go down that rabbit hole, but she was really involved, and she was like, hey, can we do some stuff together? I'm like, absolutely. She's smart, hell of a lot smarter than I am.
Yeah.
And, it really brings a different thing to the show. So back to what I was saying was that, my last show we did this Sunday, I noticed people usually drop off because I tend to ramble on in the end, but I threw out a teaser that we're going to have somebody special on this week.
There it is.
Because normally,
special guy.
Because normally I do like a midweek, like part 2 box.
Cool.
And this week I didn't, because usually I drop it today and usually I have it done, but I was prepping for this and stuff. Very so this will go out. This will go out on Friday.
Very good. You're going to beat me to a show, so I love it.
Nice.
Very nice. Yeah.
So have you been going boots on the ground at all yourself, or have you been?
No, not really. I've given it some thought. I talked to him in this episode that I'm gearing up for. It's all going to be about the Appalachian Trail box.
Yeah.
I do think that if I were to take a guess, and I talked to him about it on the show, if I were to take a guess, I live in New York City.
Yeah.
If I were to take a guess, that would be the closest one to me. Why I think that? Because I grew up and the Appalachian Trail was right there.
Yeah.
But again, it goes all the way down to it's so far
states.
south. Yeah, exactly. So could it be down there and so far away from me? Probably. But I also think that to some degree, I do think that Jon made these boxes so that if you lived anywhere in the world or anywhere in America, the continental America, you weren't too far from one.
I think continental America. Is something new?
No, maybe not. I don't know if he said that before. I think he might have said that before. Actually, that's a good question. I just made that up, so don't take anything I say.
No. The reason why I asked, because that was and still pops up from time to time, a big debate
about Alaska and Hawaii. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, you can drive to Alaska, but Hawaii, you said you don't have to. You can't access. You don't have to access it.
So could there something be in Alaska? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I do think that living in New York, I don't think that he would exclude the Northeast from having something to shoot for. That's my guess. That's my guess. So I think as far as all that's concerned, I think maybe if there was one that I would choose, it would be the Appalachian Trail box, and and it's also the cool thing about that is it's the shortest chapter. It's really quick, really easy. There's a map, so there's all these little things that I'm just like, okay, if I'm going to search for one, this one looks like the easiest, and or whatever easiest means, but
right?
Something that it's attainable for me being in New York.
So that being said, I've two things to ask you. One is how heavily do you rely on the text opposed to the map?
It's a good question. I would probably say hear my kid crying. She's
That's okay. You probably hear my dog barking. So.
She's the probably well, the thing is that most of my dissection comes from seeing what everyone else talks about.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
And I think that is kind of my whole thing, is like I kind of want to see what everyone else is talking about so I can use that for the show. So basically everything I do is basically for the show. I have really no intentions on finding the box. There's just,
oh, come on now, Dave.
There's just
give up so easily.
I talked to John about it, and he was like, "Man, that would be some good controversy if you found that box." And I was like, "Yeah, it would be." But like I look at it, and everyone dissects the map, and everyone's like, they think, like it looks very much like the Vermont area and stuff like that. And then a lot of people talk about North Carolina, and like if it is in North Carolina, that's too far for me. But
he recently said in an interview that he said everybody thinks it's there, and I want to let people know, and I'm paraphrasing, that just because I'm from there and I talk about it doesn't mean it necessarily is, which I thought was a lot that he said. I mean, it seems like since it's been out now, coming up on the 1-year anniversary, that he's possibly throwing a couple breadcrumbs out there for us.
Yeah. I do think at some point he will give more tips or more hints, but I don't think he's going to relatively soon, but we'll see. You never know.
Sure.
Like he's a wild card. He could be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give a hint.
Yeah. So, I mean, back when you said, I'm sort of jumping around here, but you said, should we believe what he says? Right. I don't think John would misdirect us, because that's why he did this hunt. Right.
Right.
I mean, he didn't do it to say, well, if you don't find it, then I get to keep it. Right.
Yeah. Right.
He wants everybody to find it.
He wants people to find it. He's not going to go, later in life and go retrieve the boxes so that they're his.
Right.
He has no intentions of doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he wants the boxes to be found. And I'm sure like anybody who would hide a treasure, they would probably want them to be found before they were gone. Right. Like,
or before they deteriorated. Right. I mean, I don't know if he's mentioned, and there's a couple of reasons why I asked this is, and I can ask you if you actually know, or what your personal feelings are on it. These boxes are works of art, right? They're very expensive, and some of the treasures have items that wouldn't fit in the box, like the Thoreau journal and Amelia Earhart picture. Has he mentioned or said anything about what kind of container they're in? Or if they are in anything, because it's going to come out after the first box is
found
anyway.
Right. I will say, and you're going to think I'm lying, but
I wouldn't think that.
In the last interview, I asked him about it. I asked him about if the boxes were in containers, and I can't remember his response right off.
Oh, you're killing me, Dave.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You're going to think I'm lying. And I think he gave an answer that was kind of long-winded. That's why I'm having trouble remembering it. And he probably danced around it a little bit. But when I put it out, you'll hear it.
So it's pretty nebulous then, right? So
yeah, but he definitely did answer the question. What he said, you'll have to wait and see.
I love it. Hey, that works for me, as long as I know, right? Because it's not that I was talking to Ohio Jones. He's been on my show. And
talked to him a few times. Yeah,
he's a good guy. We talked about it in one of our Appalachian Trail Box videos about it probably would help us out because John says that don't go searching when it's snow outside, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that could be from a safety perspective, and being by trade, I'm a safety professional, right? So I admire that. But it also could mean a possibility of where off a trail he hit it, right? Because when we went on boots on the ground in North Carolina, it was, oh man, a whole different ball game. Like, where would he hide it? Would he hide it behind a tree that could possibly deteriorate over time? Do you hide it somewhere at a certain time of the year where there's a lot of foliage? And if not, in the winter or fall, it could be covered with leaves or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's something you really have to keep in your back of your mind when you're looking, because it's not going to obviously be somewhere where somebody could stumble across it.
Right.
I mean, that's just common sense, right?
Yeah, it is. It totally is. Yeah. And like the winter stuff, you got to think like, okay, so there's got to be boxes that are in a spot where it's going to probably get icy and snowy, right? So
Yeah.
there's got to be something up relatively north, or in a mountain down south, or something along those.
Or rock. My idea, yeah. I'm sticking to my theory is it's in some type of rock formation.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, but did he happen to mention? And I forgot. And I've listened to your podcast so much I probably memorize them. But which
I do.
which ones he hid first?
It's a good question. I might have addressed that in the last interview with him. I might have, and I don't honestly remember. We covered a lot of topics. I think I might have asked him that in the last interview. So maybe you'll find out. I don't offhand have the answer to that.
Sure.
I wish I did, because I would love to tell. I mean, the thing is that I do have all those interviews going back, and I've definitely talked to him as he was doing it. Like that's the wild thing about all my interviews. And then, one day I probably will put out every single interview in straight, no cuts, maybe cutting out a time here or there where we talk about our children, but basically I will put them all out from beginning to end, and then everyone can dissect. I'll probably get them out on some kind of Patreon so that
that's smart. I would probably do the same.
But one day you'll have a lot more information on it. But yeah, as far as the answer, I don't know. But I think I did ask him that in the last interview. We'll see. Tune in to find out.
No, that'd be great. Has he ever talked to you about his personal forest fen hunt? I know, he recently had said that, he called out, he said it wasn't in Yellowstone, which there's got to be a reason behind that. Right. And he even put it on his website. I just saw it today. I often go to his website. I don't trust that I'll get an email if a box has been found. I just don't trust technology. It's not that I don't trust him, but he did put out that it wasn't in Yellowstone.
Yeah, I know he's talked about that a few times. I'm sure about where it wasn't, where he I don't think he talked about where it was, and I've never really talked to him about his solve for the forest fen box.
Yeah,
I definitely talked to him about it, and I know that he talked to me when he was doing it, and he took off a bunch of different summers. I know for one summer he was out looking for it for like months at a time.
Yeah,
and I would talk to him sparingly throughout those times, but as far as where he was, I don't think I know that for sure.
Yeah. So so you said you haven't really been actively doing the search. You're more involved just with the community.
Yeah, I would say that I'm actively involved in collecting stories. That's kind of where I'm at, and I encourage anyone to email me at the American Treasure Podcast at gmail.com. and say, I have a story. I'd love to sit down and tell you. I'd love to tell you my solve, and I'm all ears. I will give you all the time you need to tell me your solve. I think I talked to one guy who talked to me for like 2 hours and just like opened up with his whole solve, and I love it. I think it's great.
So is that where your direction, your American Treasure podcast is going?
We'll see. And I also talked to a lot of different other treasure hiders and stuff like that. So, I'm kind of all over the map these days. I actually have for this episode and the next episode I'm kind of underwater on interviews. I interviewed a lot of different people and I'm trying to like piecemeal them together to figure out the best story. So I'm maybe I'll take a little break on interviewing and start editing.
Yeah. Cause you have a day job, I'm assuming, right?
It's yeah. So yeah.
You color editing, right?
Yeah. I'm a colorist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I do during the day.
So what about your other podcasts, your Dave and Giggles and the one that you, which I'm really upset with myself now because I can't remember the name of it, but you talk about time travel movies.
Oh,
My wife and I just talked about that in our last episode.
Yeah.
We love those.
Yeah, those are great. I love those. Those I do with an old coworker who we're both in the movie industry. So we're like, let's do the time travel show. It's called When Are We?
Yeah.
And we kind of focus on a movie every episode. We have one more to record for the next season, which I think will come out in like October. We'll start doing the next season. We have a lot of really good ones for the next season. I'm really excited. Yeah.
Very nice. And I also saw you had some American Treasure buttons, which I was going to ask you, how do I get that?
Yeah, you could just email me at the American Treasure Podcast at gmail.com and we'll set it up. I'm selling them for $10 a piece.
Nice.
And basically, everyone that I sell will give me X amount of time to spend editing.
Nice.
To come up with a new. That's my promise to everybody. Everyone that I sell will give me more time to create some more episodes.
Well, I'll buy a few from you.
Awesome.
That would be nice. Yeah, I'll put a link in the description with all your
They're really nice too. They're really nice. They came out really good, and they're like 2 inches, so they're really like you can get them on there and really people will see them, and that's kind of the goal I was having is that if you're out there and you see a button on you, that says American
that's right.
You're like, hey, there, we're both searching.
You need a little QR code to put on there too. That's what I do on my Discord picture.
That's smart. I should do that.
So are you going to the Seeking Treasure Con in Vegas next year?
As of right now, I believe it is on the table. I'm talking with Mike Calazar's, however we say it. I am talking with him. We're trying to figure it out. So
nice. Yeah, we'll be there.
Cool. That'd be really cool. It'd be really cool to like actually see everybody. Like, I mean, I don't know everybody. I'm not like,
I don't either.
Active everything, but it'll be really cool to be like, hey, I'm this guy and I'm looking for this and I liked what you did in this show and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm new to this too. And I missed the one where Treasure Hunt with us, they did, and Jenny from Mysterious Writings, they met up in North Carolina and I couldn't go. I had to go into work or something like that. Mm. And I guess John's brother and sister were there.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
John, he was like, my brother and sister showed up. I didn't even know they were going.
Yeah. I think that's really, really neat. You don't know who you're going to run into. And, everybody's so friendly and,
Yeah. So, talk about controversy. What if they found the box, right?
I thought about that because I remember your episode when he said that, that his sister would probably look for it. Now, I guess she's looking for Justin Posey's. And
that's funny. That's really funny.
he had said that, he remembered reading a back cereal box that there was, some contest and friends and family of people that work for the company couldn't come on. And he thought that was wrong.
Yeah. So that's
I agree. I mean, look, I think, I don't know John whatsoever, but from how he presented himself and everything that I've heard and read about, to me, he's got my trust. He seems like a genuine guy.
Trust is a good word I would give John. John is a very trustful individual. Whether he's playing us all, who knows?
Yeah. You keep saying that. Now you're going to turn a skeptic into me.
I will say that I do 100%. There's no question that the boxes are out there. I do 100%. There's no chance that he's scamming us there. But if he comes on my show and says some things, I can't verify anything.
Right?
I just try to take him for his word. So,
and that's not your role either. Your role is just to report.
Exactly. Journalist here. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, no, I do think that they're not as easy as he thought, or as he's saying, because with the group, collectively working on some of these. I mean, I thought at one point I was close. I do think I'm getting pretty close to the Appalachian Trail one, and the only reason I haven't said anything or have put it out there is because I don't want to get people to just start going out there based on what I said. And if I'm wrong, I'm wasting their time. I mean, time's valuable to everybody. Right. And I know me, my wife, she's got unlimited PTO, but I don't. Right. So I don't want to hear anything that's going to put me out somewhere that's not
true. But again, you gotta look and pick and choose what works with your saw, right? You gotta be like, right. Okay, I see where you're going with this and I agree with it, or I don't. Like, that's kind of the whole thing. And that's where I think things get kind of dicey, because you have a lot of people kind of assuming that this idea is consensusly right. You know what I mean? And it may not be, like there's no hard facts or truth. So that gets kind of interesting in the sense that this one idea that everyone agrees upon may not be right. But
and what's consensusly right anyway? Right. Exactly. Groupthink, you're in this huge echo chamber, it seems like, depending on what platform you're on.
Exactly. But I mean, it does happen. Like, you see a lot of group of people be like, yeah, well, this guy, he said this, and I think that's right. And then everyone kind of goes, yeah, that's right. So,
and that's what we talked about it, because in chapter 5 of his book, before getting that, did you ever get a book? Has he ever given you a book?
Not.
He did not. You killing me.
Did not get a book. I talked to him about it in the last episode. It was fun. You could hear it when I do it, when I put out the next episode. You could hear it in the last interview I did. So we talked about it.
Yeah.
But I did not get a book.
I would like to send you one if you could possibly give me somewhere I could send it.
Okay, we could do that.
I'll do that.
We'll do that. We could do that. We'll see. I think at this point it's kind of funny.
It is. It's hilarious. I was thinking about it. I'm like, I was going to start off with that question.
Yeah. I know. I jumped in.
No, that's fine. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to listening to your podcast, as well as listen to your other ones, because it's really enjoyable. Your whole style of doing it, and it's. I don't know. Sometimes when you listen to certain broadcast shows, I don't know. You probably understand this from. Remember Art Bell, who was on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Art Bell's great.
Man, I used to listen to him when I was younger.
Me too. Art Bell is so good.
That voice, it was so cathartic.
Yeah, I think they're making a movie about Art Bell.
Really?
Yeah. There's some big name attached to it, playing Art Bell. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm very much looking forward to it. I loved Art Bell growing up. But to quickly, the Dave and Giggles, which is the first podcast I ever did, we started that now like 15 years ago. And it was just like me and a bunch of my friends in our kitchen.
Yeah.
We just like hang out. And then that kind of like sparked like just like an idea of like, man, you could really get, because, like the early days, it was just kind of like talk, record, stop, put it out, Sure. And then the idea that you could get like more creative with it. You can get like edit it. You can like really do some sound art theater type of idea. And then I remember during the pandemic, I did a few episodes of My Life in Stereo, which is another show that I did. Yeah. And it was just kind of me being like, well, I got nothing to do. We're in a pandemic. I need to do something. So I came up with a bunch of episodes, and that is where I really kind of like found this idea of like, wow, you can really explore auditory, like, that I was just used to doing interviews and then putting that out. So that really kind of like opened my eyes and kind of like formed the idea of like what I'm doing now. And, I still do a lot of just interview shows, basically the When Are We Time Travel is just us talking for however long.
Yeah.
It's still just an interview that I talk for an hour and then done. But there are other shows that I do that really, get really fun with it. But
yeah, that sounds fun. Yeah, I used to play around with Adobe Audition and just like listening to myself talk,
Yeah, I know. I mean, that was the early days where you'd put on headphones and you really hear yourself talking. You're like, this is great. I love this.
I always wanted to have an idea for a show. And that's what really inspired me to do what I'm doing now, because I never really had something concrete, to work on. Then I wasn't really, I don't know, my attention span isn't the longest, but
as none of ours are, which is why it takes me so long to come out with episodes.
Right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Anytime.
This is great. And I'd like to have you on again sometime, maybe in the future when you have some time.
Definitely.
That'd be great.
I'm always open. I'm always game. I'm here hanging out. So let me know.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Well, thanks, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.